I'd like to introduce you to certified legal nurse consultant, Connie Schaefer. Connie, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. You came back from exhibiting at a legal conference and you were so excited. Was this your first experience exhibiting?
Yes, definitely my first, going through the training with you, we learned about it and I just thought I have to do this. So yeah, it was my first time.
Okay. What kind of conference did you select to go to for the very first one?
It's a Kansas trial lawyers conference, mostly plaintiff attorneys, but it was just all the trial attorneys in the state of Kansas.
Okay.
It actually happened in Kansas City, Missouri, though, but it was for the state of Kansas.
Okay. And close to home, further away from home?
About 4 hours. It's about the same. So,
all right. So I hear you saying something that I want everybody to hear, and that is that, sometimes when you're exhibiting, it's not always going to be in your backyard. So you made the effort to go 4 hours from your home. And, based on what you had mentioned to me, I know it paid off, and we'll get to that eventually here in this interview today. But I want everybody to hear that, it's important to be willing to kind of extend yourself out. So congratulations on making that decision.
thank you.
How long was the conference?
It was a 3-day conference. I got there the day before with all the paraphernalia that I brought with me, and I had it set up real early in the morning of the start. So.
Okay, so kind of what I'm hearing you say is that there is some time that's got to be put into kind of setting that stage for success. And so talk to us a little bit about what you did to get ready.
So I paid attention to what you taught in the course very closely so that I wouldn't miss anything. And then over the course of time, just made sure I had all my ducks in a row. I went on to the page, the marketing page that you have, and
yes,
I ordered
the CLNC Marketing Center. Yes.
And I ordered everything that I could. I figured it was worth it. So I ordered I ordered business cards. I ordered my name tag. I thought that was important. I ordered a big banner and as well as a table runner. I ordered pins with my name and all the good stuff on it. I picked up some other things too, like some mints just for them to have something to chew, suck on or whatever, and everything. But I just ordered everything through that over the course of time.
Congratulations. I mean, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into it.
Well, I did. And I remember from one of the sessions that you had learning about the fun cookies, the
fortune cookies.
Fortune cookies. And I loved that idea. So I actually made cards to go with it. And I actually sent postcards to all the attorneys on the list before the conference so that they knew that they were going to have to, they will meet me and that they were going to get a cookie when they came to see me. So it was fortune cookies. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's brilliant to communicate to these attorneys when you can get that list in advance to kind of invite them to stop by your booth. That was really very smart strategy on your part.
Thank you.
Did you have any kind of free drawings that you established?
I did. I had a glass bowl set up so that we could start putting their business cards in there. And I also had just some plain note cards because this day and age, there's a lot of times that they don't come with their own business cards anymore. Everything's electronic, but I just allowed them to write it if they to their phone number, et cetera, and just drop it in the glass dish so that they could see that there was a lot of cards in there. And then we did a drawing at the end of the second day. And I was so excited about this. The drawing was for 5 free hours. So it's equivalent to $750 worth of free services that I was going to provide. And I had a whole stack of cards. Of course, I had these information already from their email and everything like that, but I actually had their business cards. And so the card that I drew was, it was wonderful. He was a workman's comp attorney. So he never dreamed that he would be the winner. And they made a big deal about it, me going up on stage, and I gave a little tiny spiel about what my services were. And anyway, it's been very exciting. Yeah.
So that's a unique opportunity. You actually got to present to the attorneys, and were they receptive to that brief presentation?
Oh, they were. I mean, they gave a big applause, and I mean, it was just great. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Since this was your first time, can you describe how it felt to be in front of these attorneys?
Yeah, I have to tell you that I was a little nervous as I'm preparing for this, because in all my life, I've had exposure to a lot of people, but never had I had much exposure to attorneys. I just never had a reason to. And so I was a little bit nervous about that. But I just determined that it was going to be the same thing as when I was a new nurse and I was meeting some of those doctors for the first time, and how intimidated I was at that time. And I was just deciding that it's okay. I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm just going to be happy and bold and positive, and they were just wonderful people. They're just very approachable and kind, and many of them, I don't know, could have been my brother or could have been my neighbor, and it was just nice. So
it felt like gaining instant friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I know you said it was a 3-day conference, and so you're there. That's a long time to be in an exhibiting hall. What were some of your strategies for making sure that you stayed engaged, stayed, energetic, and really stayed focused and present to these attorneys that were coming by your booth?
So I made sure I was always standing. Whenever they were out, I was standing, so that when they would walk by me, that they would get an eye-to-eye contact with me. And I think it worked, because most of them would at least greet me and say hello. So whenever they were in session, then I took that time to rest or review or whatever I was needing to do. But as soon as those doors opened and they were out in the exhibiting hall, I was up. I was standing in front of the table and ready to meet them. So
yeah, that's a rule number one in an exhibiting hall. Do not sit when they're all out there with you. You want to be standing. And, for me, when I'm in an exhibiting hall and I see people sitting, I just blow past them, because I kind of figure they're not even that interested. It's almost like you can tell who owns their own business at those booths and who's just staffing the booth for a different owner that day. It's interesting to me. I'm sure that you saw some of these attorneys numerous times throughout the 3-day event. And, over the course of those 3 days, did you notice that you started to develop a friendly relationship with an attorney that maybe at first did just blow past you or did just say hi, but didn't have much else to say?
Yes, when they actually had a moment to stop and visit, you always try to find that connection, whatever that connection is. And in our situation, the town I live in Kansas, is a big bluegrass festival, and they know about this all over the state of Kansas. And so I was able to bring that up, and so many of them who live far away had heard of my bluegrass festival. And so we had lots of fun talking about coming down to our little festival, and many of them had children my children's age, and some of them were expecting grandchildren, and I mean it was just very comfortable, very friendly, very easy.
Great. And I think you're saying something that, especially for people who are beginners as certified legal nurse consultants, really need to hear. And we talk about this in the program, but I don't think this can ever be said enough. You were relaxed enough to just kind of have a fun time with them. And it
Mhm.
wasn't all, hi, I'm Connie Schaefer, certified legal nurse consultant, and this is what I can do for you. You
Right.
engaged in those friendly kind of conversations that ultimately, when you do get to who you are and what your USP is, now they're more receptive because they got to know a little bit about who Connie was, right? Not
Yeah.
just somebody trying to sell them something.
Right. Well, and I found that what they responded to also was when I would ask them about them and ask them, well, what kind of law do you practice? Well, do you have a real exciting, unusual case right now that you could share with me? And they love talking about themselves, and it was fun.
Yes. And that's important too, because you can't sell something to someone you know nothing about, right? Again, I mean, we talk about this extensively in the program. And the only way you can really apply who you are and what your USP is to the attorney is to understand who they are. So that's just a smart business strategy. Absolutely. Focusing on them. I always say it's not about us, it's about that attorney. And when we focus on that attorney, we get so much better results. I know you were there by yourself. So how did you manage things like meals, going to the bathroom break? I mean, I know you've got that nurse's bladder, but how did you manage all of that?
Well, I always waited until they were in session. So there weren't anybody around. There wasn't anybody around. So at that particular moment, I would run to the bathroom if I needed, to. But you know what? In all of the time that I was there, I didn't really feel the need to have to eat. There was always like I had nuts or something available, and I felt like there was, for those 3 days, I didn't need a meal per se. And I really didn't. I mean, they provided soft drinks and tea and things like that. And that's pretty much what I enjoyed throughout the day that I was there. I didn't really need to take a break. Some people did. I did notice some vendors left for an hour and a half or whatever, but not me. I was right there for the whole thing.
Yeah. So you were committed. And one thing, I love that you mentioned nuts, because that's kind of my go-to food. No matter, whenever I'm traveling, I'm on the road, I'm doing business, things might be tight, but nuts can really save you if you're busy and you don't have time for a meal. And luckily, most nurses are used to eating relatively quick. So even if you go off, probably it'll be for a half an hour to catch a quick lunch, not an hour and a half, like, as you said, you observed other people doing. Okay, so talk to me about the results of this first exhibiting experience.
So the results are, I'm in the middle of 2 cases right now that I would not have had if I wouldn't have gone to this conference. And
congratulations.
yes, I'm excited. It's a law firm that I've never worked with before. I've always wanted to, because they're well known in our community. So I'm very excited. This wouldn't have happened. I know it wouldn't have, but what I did following the conference is I took that email list and I sent individual emails. I also sent follow-up postcards, and I tried to tie it into my fortune cookies, and what their fortune is going to be for 2022 is going to be a good fortune. And anyway, it was kind of fun how I was able to tie that in and sent some cards, not just postcards, to those that actually connected with me, that I see a little bit more possibility of the future. And so I spelled that out too, but I sent emails, and I did it one at a time instead of the group email, a blind copy or something like that. I did one at a time so that they could respond back to me. And many of them said that, well, I've got you in mind. In that first case that we have, you will hear from us.
That's awesome. And, again, it sounds like you're doing everything right, because what I hear from some people is, okay, they get home from an exhibit, especially you were gone for 3 full days, and they come back home to their busy lives, and now there's this follow-up to do. And I've had people say, Vicki, a month later, I still hadn't done the follow-up, and now I'm embarrassed to do it. It doesn't seem timely. But it sounds like you jumped on it and you did it the right way. And again, you customized it. You didn't send out a blanket follow-up. And I've gotten emails from vendors in the past. And it's exactly what you just described. It's a boilerplate email. You can tell every other person that participated at that conference got that same email, and they don't even remember who you were. But it sounds like you took the time to remember who these attorneys were. How did you do that? Did you take some notes? I mean, how did you remember some personal things about these lawyers?
So I had the roster when I was there, and I just put little notes off to the side as anything that would bring to my memory something specific about them.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to, on those that I had actually connected with, tried to refer back to that so they knew that it wasn't individualized message. It wasn't just a group message.
Yeah,
So.
very good. I mean, people are going to be more likely to respond to that. You had mentioned to me that one of the other ways that you want to follow through with these attorneys is to do some presentations. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, my most recent clinical experience has been as an infection preventionist. And so I kind of know that arena in nursing, like, you know, I don't even have to think about it. I know so much about it. And so I thought, well, that would be easy. I could go in and teach. And so I offered that. That was what I offered. But I also said that I was open to their suggestions on what they're in need of. Like, you know, a trial or attorney for personal injury might be different than workman's comp. So I find out what it is that they need, and I will concentrate on that to present. I did put together a PowerPoint ready to go. I haven't actually gone yet. I communicated with them that I have this available and I'm willing, but we haven't scheduled it yet. It's been kind of a COVID crazy month of January. So
yes, but again, I really love this. You know, we talk about presentations in the CLNC certification program as a marketing strategy. And what I love about doing presentations is, again, you're putting the focus on the attorney, something that's benefiting them, the lawyers within their law firm. And it's less about quote unquote selling, because you're naturally selling when you do a presentation, because suddenly they realize how smart you are and really begin to appreciate some of your expertise, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't feel like selling. So it's quite effective. And it's almost like you're like the perfect student in terms of everything that you've taken from the program and literally are applying everything you learned. I mean, you said that at the beginning of this interview, but you really mean it. Is exhibiting part of your future?
Oh, definitely. I know I'll go back to this one for sure, because I feel like I talked with some of the other vendors that were there, and some of them have been there 8, 10, 12 years, and they have relationships with these attorneys from over that time that I saw the value in watching them interact. And I know I want to go back because there was another nurse, a legal nurse that was there. She wasn't from your training. And I know that what I presented was superior, if that makes any sense. You could just kind of tell, and I could tell. And so I had several that said, I do hope you'll come back, and I will. I definitely plan to go back. And then I don't know, a national one, I'm always open to see what else is out there.
Yeah, I think you should go for it for sure. And I love that the attorneys were telling you to come back. Again, you know, that's a very unique experience, because when attorneys walk through an exhibit hall, they meet a lot of vendors. You must have stood out for them to actually encourage you to come back the following year. So I can, again, tell that you were doing everything right. What do you see as the biggest benefit of exhibiting?
It's like I had 140 ripe and ready attorneys that they didn't even know how much they needed me until this conference. And now they know. How simple is that? I mean, so much better than making cold calls, or, you know, I do it all. I call, I send letters, I follow up in every way, but this was just like, it was like easy. It's like they're right in front of me, and you just have to just kind of step out, and it was easy.
I know you said it was easy, but is there anything you would say to that certified legal nurse consultant who might be a little hesitant to step out and exhibit?
Would you remember as a brand new baby nurse, how scary it was to have to make those first phone calls to some of those really intimidating doctors or something like that? You just did it. You just did it. And the first time was maybe a little nerve wracking. After that, you gain your confidence and you know who you are. And I think maybe at this point in my life, I don't really have to worry about impressing anybody. I just have to be me. And that's the best I can do. And 40 years of nursing experience, I think I can help them with whatever their needs are. So.
Yeah. And it kind of sounds like being Connie Schaefer works. So I say keep it up, and congratulations, Connie. And thank you so much for sharing your exhibiting success with us here today.
Thank you very much.